the thought process behind Clutch was, let me buy these trucks, let me transport weed to, certain different areas in the country.
Wow, smart.
So I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's go and do this. Got the money, I bought the first 3 trucks of the company, and I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
Yeah, big investment.
Big investment. I didn't know what I was doing. But that was the initial thought process beforehand. And then it came a time where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just, the lifestyle that kind of came along with everything that you're doing with it, the people that you're around, it was just so much. And I was like, let's not do this anymore.
Switch lanes a little bit.
Let me switch lanes a little bit. And
Wow.
I came to find out that there was, we had a job, and I was working with Randy at the time. We had a job where it was like, okay, there's some decent money to be made here. And I was like, let me stop doing this. Let me go ahead and focus fully on there. I think it was a job. I'm trying to think. We went to Santa Rosa, and we did a job. It was little money. I mean, it wasn't as much as what we charge now, but the thought process behind it was like, I can make legitimate money doing this moving thing. On today's Clutch podcast, where we talk about business and entrepreneurship, we've got Mr. Skylar Melendez with Blackout Tints. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. We got a couple shops right now. We got one in Oakland, Vallejo, Hidden Valley Lake, and looking to expand to Burlingame. New business, but we're rolling.
Awesome. Now, Skylar, tell them a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the business? I knew you a little bit before this, and I knew that you're in a couple of other businesses. What kind of got you to land to doing tinting? I know that you've scaled it already in such a short amount of time, but tell us about that journey from, starting off to entrepreneurship to getting to where you're at right now.
Yeah. So should I go into the backstory behind that too?
As far as you
sounds
want.
good. So basically, I'll try and summarize this as best as possible.
Take your time, whatever, the best parts, whatever it is, just go ahead and go into detail, whatever it is.
I gotcha. So 13 years old, overweight, and hanging out with the wrong people, wasn't doing anything good. And then one day kind of snapped. Just one day kind of realized, okay, what am I doing? Parents don't have any money. Why does everyone at school have these shoes and these clothes and I don't? Kind of just one of those realizations. And from that point on, I just realized I had to change something. So I went down this big fitness journey, which led into high school, which led into a dog walking business. So I would start just knocking on doors in the neighborhood,
okay,
and posting on Next Door Neighbor. Hey, does anyone need their dog walked? My name's Skylar. I'm a neighbor. I've been born and raised here. Who needs their dogs walked? And so I would just get like a reoccurring little service from that, just with a couple neighbors. So come home from school, go to people's houses, pick up their dogs, 30-minute walk, boom. And I was doing like $30 per walk. So if I got like 2 or 3 dogs and I did it maybe 2 or 3 days a week after school, it was good money for a kid. So that was number one. And I started saving money. That was big because I knew, hey, my parents don't have money. They're asking me for money. So I got to do something here. There's no one I can lean on.
Okay.
That translated to high school. High school, I started an automotive detailing business. And so when I was doing that, I was just doing it myself, no employees. It wasn't scalable. Learned a lot from both the dog walking and doing that about business and just mistakes and undercharging people, overcharging, losing clients, how to speak to people. And then after that, I was like, man, this isn't really consistent. I need something better. So then I washed a car for this chef, this really amazing guy. His name's Matthew Dolan. And he liked me. He saw that I was a hustler. And he was like, hey, you want a shot in the kitchen? And he's a Michelin-starred chef on TV shows. He's a great guy. And ended up being my mentor for a while. And I was a cook. So that was most of high school. I just cooked. And saved up all my money from doing that. And come to, I think it was 2018 when I graduated. I had a friend, kind of like the rich dad, poor dad scenario. I had the poor dad and my buddy had the rich dad. This guy was a real estate investor, owned a ton of properties, had a couple businesses. And I asked him, hey, can I learn from you? Like, I'll go and I'll work for free for you. He said, I'll do you one better. Why don't you come and stay and live in my house, and you're going to work for my businesses. You'll get paid, but I'm going to teach you how to do everything.
Wow.
So right when I graduated high school, I went to Thailand for a month with him and his family. And I just started kind of adopting their ways, waking up at 5 a.m, going for runs, just learning from this guy, just living, breathing, eating in the same space. And I learned so much during that time. And he had me running his construction company a little bit. He had me just, doing dump runs and checking up on projects and learning how to estimate flips. And then at some point I, over a couple months learned how to, flip a house just by looking at it, just knowing exactly what's going to go into it, more or less how much it's going to cost, and rental property management. I learned so much. So it was really, really a great time to learn. I didn't make a ton, but I got so much value. After that, came back to SF, and I was a carpenter. And when I was a carpenter, I was making really good money, high wages. I became a master carpenter and then a foreman and then a superintendent really quick. I just go to work, go home, go on YouTube, how to do wood joinery. And I would just keep mastering everything, just every single second of the day. Even while I was at work, I'd be listening to podcasts, audiobooks, went through all the books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, anything Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, Ray Dalio. So ran through that, did that for a little while. And then I got to a company where this was last February. So I got to a company, one of the top companies in the Bay Area, I would say. And they were amazing. They treated me super good. And I was working with some of the best carpenters, in my opinion, in the whole state. These guys were from Japan. These guys were from Romania, just absolute professionals and craftsmen. And I liked that, but I knew there was something bigger for me. So they started having me running jobs on my own, being kind of the only guy that was doing stuff on my own there. And I wanted to be a superintendent. They gave me a little bit of time there, which was great. Super grateful for that. And then I wanted to be a project manager. And understandably so, I was really young. I mean, I was only 21 when this was going on. And, I was trying to be a project manager, which people in the construction industry know is a pretty big deal. That's, right below CEO in most companies' formats. So I wanted to do that. And, it just wasn't the right time. And they already had people, but I just never had that settle. Like, I could never settle. So ended up, going a different path, and I didn't work for 6 months. So for 6 months, I just wanted to figure out, hey, I got all this money saved up. I've been working since I was 13, and I'm tired of working for other people. I feel like I can learn anything and do it better than, I've seen people making mistakes in the past, and I know how to not make those mistakes. So why am I working a job? So I just decided to spend that 6 months traveling, meeting with other, friends or acquaintances that had businesses, looking at their businesses. And a couple months in, a really good friend of mine, this is someone I hold dearly to this day. He wanted to go move in a different city, and he had a tint shop. And I asked him about it, and I was like, hey, what are you going to do with this shop? You're moving. How are you going to manage it? He said, well, actually, I'm thinking of selling it. Somebody offered me X amount. And I said, oh, why don't I buy it? And that was it. That was how it started. So I bought that shop. First month, terrible. Not what I expected it to do at all. By the time the second month came around, I was like, okay, I know what's working. I know what's not working. I'm just going to go all the way in. Door knocking, putting out flyers, business cards, cold calling every business in the area. And I did that. And it's been really great ever since at that shop. And another owner of another tint shop saw what I did and was like, hey, how'd you turn this around? Like, it seems to be doing amazing now. And I was like, this, and that. This is the way I talk to people. This is how I comport myself. And that's it. And then ended up getting a partnership opportunity through that, and then ended up buying it, seller financing. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a house up in Hidden Valley Lake. And over in the area I'm at, there's no shops that do what I do for an hour and a half. People drive an hour and a half away to get these services done. So I thought, okay, there's an hour and a half radius of no competition, and everyone's driving all this time to get these services. Why? I found a demand, and I have the supply, and I'm in the right spot. So just started off with that, and basically what I'm doing now is just I cold call people in St. Helena, Calistoga, all the neighboring towns that are within that radius. Door knocking. I have flyers, so I'll go for a walk in the morning. I'll just drop like 100 flyers or more just in every single car door. If I see one where the window tints are bubbling, especially that one, I make sure to put like 2 or something, you know? And man, then just the phones start ringing, and then putting stuff on Facebook Marketplace, putting Instagram ads, Google ads, Yelp, and Nextdoor, Craigslist, just putting things everywhere. And just nonstop. Like today on my way over here, I made 5 calls, and I already locked in 3 appointments for next week just off of those calls, because there's a demand and there's no supply. So it sells itself, which is awesome.
I love the story, man. That's the story of grit and hustling and really getting out there and really just pushing it to the limit. Because a lot of the times people, they don't see the actual backstory. They see that success, and they don't understand what it takes to really get there. Yeah. When did you purchase or get into that first business?
This was March. This past March.
So from March all the way until now, you said you door knocked, you cold called, what else did you do on there? You said, did you pay for ads or anything like that?
Yeah, I still pay for ads. I don't put a lot of money into ads, actually. I don't think I think it depends what business you're in, like, how much someone should spend on ads, and also ads cost different depending on what business it is and what platform you're using. But I think the biggest thing is cold calling. So I remembered, I missed this part, but I was doing real estate a little bit for the last 2 years or something like that. And with 50 Hills Real Estate, they were awesome, and they taught me a lot. And they were actually the ones that taught me about door knocking and cold calling. So I don't know what it was, but I just didn't have the motivation. I just maybe not even the confidence in that industry with cold calling. I would do it. I would go on, the sites, and I would pay for, the phone numbers and whatnot. And I would door knock, but something internally just, I didn't have that confidence. I didn't believe that what I was doing was going to work. But when it came to this, and when I got this shop, I was like, man, I don't have any other options. I got to do something. If I just sit down, no business is going to come in. And now I have a lot of confidence. I mean, now I feel like if I make 5 calls, I'm going to close at least 1 or 2.
So let me ask you this. When you do the cold calling, how does that script look like?
It's interesting. Kind of like how we're just flowing. That's how I like to do it. I just like to flow. So a typical call is something like this. I'll call, say for example, one of the places I called was a body shop. Said, hey, so-and-so, my name's Sky from Blackout Tints. I'm a neighbor. I live up the street, and I just wanted to reach out, let you guys know I'm in the area. I know a lot of our neighbors have been driving really far to Santa Rosa and such to get these services, and I just want to let you know I'm here. I want to provide you a great value and a discount, especially considering we're so close to each other, and see whatever I can do for you. And if that sounds good to you, let me know if you have anything you need at the moment, and I'd love to come down and help you guys out.
Now,
just like that.
When you're doing that, are you doing a targeted audience, or are you just cold calling?
I'm cold calling.
Whoever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, whoever.
That's great, because we do a lot of cold calling too. And I'm a cold caller as well. I love it. I love everything about cold calling. I love everything about email marketing. I don't do the door knocking quite yet. Maybe that's something I might implement. But when you cold call, and every single call is a little bit different, right? Yeah. And then, sure is. But for us, I have a targeted audience that I cold call to, and a lot of the times people don't really understand the science and the psychology of it. When I started to do it, I was just like you. I was pretty scared to do it over the phone because of the rejection. But after
Yes.
you do it a couple of times and you see success, especially if you know exactly the product that you're selling and you're super confident behind the product, that they can feel that energy when you're talking over the phone,
Yeah.
right?
So now that we talked a little bit about me, how did Clutch start? I'm curious to know.
Yeah, kind of turning the tables on me. So, yeah, clutch moving. I think beforehand, let's take it back a couple of take it back a couple of steps. In high school, I was what did I do? I ran cross country and track in high school. I was super, an athlete. So I really understood what it took, and I used that discipline that I got from running cross country and track in high school every single day. And then from there, I'm gonna just actually really get into it.
Yeah, yes, please.
And then really tell you, like, I've never actually really told the story anywhere. But I think that this podcast, like, that I'm having the same energy with you. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get into it. Nobody's ever really heard this raw, only probably my real friends probably. But the raw story is, so back in high school, I ran cross country, ran track from sophomore year to like junior year. I was highly recruited, had some of the top scholarships from some of the best colleges in the country: UCLA, Brown University, some very, very top prestigious schools. I got injured in when did I get injured? I got injured probably the end of my sophomore year because I was running too much. Keep in mind that I was a sophomore. I was running about 70 to 80 miles a week.
Wow.
And that's some mileage that professional runners would run.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing with me was that I always wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best at everything I did. And I thought the hard work was going to make me a lot faster, but it changed. I thought it was going to make me number one, but I just put too much stress on my body at that young age, and I burnt out, got injured. End of my sophomore year, I came back beginning of junior year, and then when I came back in junior year, I wasn't the same, and I kind of got mixed up in the wrong crowd. It typically happens sometimes, and it just depends on when you get mixed up in the wrong crowd, and then if you can get out of the wrong crowd. So junior year to senior year, I was messing around, drinking, or whatnot, and then what happened was, I got in the cannabis industry. So I started selling weed at a very young age. And then from there, I was able to kind of provide for myself. I still remember when my mother was like, how come you're not asking me for any lunch money? How are you paying the gas on your car? How are you doing this? But it actually all started when my mother, I grew up middle class. I wasn't rich, I wasn't poor or anything like that. But my mother, I had asked her. I said, "Hey, Mom, can I get money to go with my friends to go get Wingstop?" Right? She said no, and I was just I lost it. So all my friends, they went to Wingstop, and then I wasn't able to go with them because I didn't get, $10, $20, whatever it was at the time. Yeah. So I was really crushed at that time. I was probably a junior, senior, whatever it was. And I was like, you know what? I never, ever want to feel like that ever again.
Never miss out. Never just have to deal with that. Wow. Yeah.
It was just, I think more so it was just the feeling of like, damn, I missed out. I can't do this because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any financial things to back me up. I didn't save any money. I was probably 14, 15 at the time. I don't remember. Yeah. But yeah, I took that. So I took that, and then I started, I started selling weed at that young age. And then what happened was, I think I was doing that for a longer period of time. I was, making some money, making some decent money. And then from there, I went ahead and I think I got in trouble. I got caught. I was public intoxication. And then I think I had a couple pounds of weed inside of my trunk. It was my one of my best friend's birthday, and I was drunk in public. I shouldn't have had weed in my trunk. I had a couple pounds of weed in my trunk. And then, I got in trouble, went to jail, had to pay for a lawyer. That basically, I went broke. So I went broke. I was probably 18, 19 years old at the time. And then what I needed to do in order to beat my case and not go to jail was I had to get a job.
Interesting.
So I got a job, 18, 19 years old. I was actually working at In-N-Out. Okay.
Wow.
So I'm working at In-N-Out, 18, 19 years old. And then from there, I seen my friend that I'm still friends with him now. You know him. His name's Randy Garcia.
Oh yeah, Randy. Yeah.
So I seen Randy at In-N-Out. I'm taking his order. I got the hat on, and I'm like, hey, you know, if you ever go to In-N-Out, they're like, hello, how are you? Blah, 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 whatever it is. I had the whole script going on, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Wow.
Because he knew me beforehand. He knew what I was doing, and I was just like, man, you know, I got to work here. And he was like, look, quit your job, come work for me. I quit my job. I worked for him. I quit my job the very next day. I went to go work for him. So I worked with him in cell phones. I was one of those annoying guys in the phone mall.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, in the phone kiosk, I should say. And that was probably one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned, because I'm working in sales and I'm like, you know, trying to get business. You know, I'm asking, you know, all these types of questions to these customers and really understanding how sales work, how psychology works and everything like that. So I worked there for about, I think, 2 years. And that's when I really realized, like, damn, like I got like a ridiculous work ethic. Cause I was like, I took everything that I learned from running and, you know, being an athlete, and I went into that. So after that, I went to go work in cell phones again. So, I worked at Sprint Corporate. I was working there for another 2 years. And then when I was working there, I was like, man, I'm working 70, 80 hours a week. I don't want to do this. I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time.
And was it still sales?
I was still sales. I worked my way up from, you know, a sales consultant. I worked my way up to assistant manager. And then that was a short period of time, about 1.5 years, give or take. And then I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm working ridiculous amounts, you know, anywhere from like 50 hours to 70 hours. I was working 7 days a week because I really wanted that bag. I really wanted that commission check. So made some decent money there. And then what I did was I took that money from Sprint and I actually invested it into a tax firm.
Oh, interesting.
So I took that money, invested into a tax firm. My manager at the time was like, hey, man, I know this person. She owns a tax firm. You know, we should invest into it. I said, you know what? Screw it. Let's go ahead and do it. So from there, I went ahead and invested into it. I think I licensed it. I got my CTEC license, and I licensed the name, Golden Bay Tax and Bookkeeping. And I was a CTEC person. CTEC, I guess I don't know, CTEC, I don't know whatever it is, but I had my CTEC license. And then from there, I was doing taxes. Man, I was doing taxes, give or take, for about, how long was I doing taxes? Doing taxes for about 1 year. Okay. And I was like, man, you know, this shit sucks.
Really? Wow. Was it at least like pretty lucrative for what it was?
It was. I mean, you can charge somebody 1040 easy taxes to go ahead and charge them $300-$400, something like that, like 40 minutes of work.
Oh wow. So that was good.
So yeah, I did that. I didn't really like that.
It's just monotonous.
Yeah, it's monotonous. You're behind a desk all day. So what I did was I was like, you know what? Screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. Let me go ahead and get back into the cannabis industry. So I'm back in there. I think I'm about, how old am I? About 23, maybe 23, 24. So this time I take it to the next level. So I'm like, you know, I want to go all in on this. I want to be, you know, the best at whatever I do. So I'm taking it to the next level. You know, I'm selling, you know, 50, 25, 100 pounds in a week, you know, something like that. I'm sending out weed to different places across the state. And, you know, I'm making money hand over fist. I'm doing this for about 2-3 years. And I'm living the fucking life. I'm living the life. I'm living like a rock star. I used to go to every single club. I was able to purchase a Porsche Panamera. Wow. And I think I was
bottle services,
everything, you name it. I was young. I was stupid, and yeah, that's where I was at that time. And then it came a time where I was like, shit, everything was so good for a short amount of time. I made so much money. and then I started doing bad. I got into business with some people that I shouldn't have gone into business with, and lost a shit ton of money.
Wow.
Lost so much money, and then I'm like, man, do I want to keep doing this? So I had my friend at the time was like, man, we shouldn't send it through the mail or whatever it is. We should just go ahead and buy some trucks. Okay.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Hey guys, if you really like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. This will help the channel grow drastically. Share this to 5 different people that you think can benefit from it. Now back to the video. The thought process behind Clutch was, let me buy these trucks, let me transport weed to certain different areas in the country.
Wow, smart.
So I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's go and do this. Got the money, I bought the first 3 trucks of the company, and I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
Yeah, big investment.
Big investment. I didn't know what I was doing. But that was the initial thought process beforehand. And then it came a time where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just, the lifestyle that kind of came along with everything that you're doing with it, the people that you're around, it was just so much. And I was like, let's not do this anymore.
Switch lanes a little bit.
Let me switch lanes a little bit. And
Wow.
I came to find out that there was, we had a job, and I was working with Randy at the time. We had a job where it was like, okay, there's some decent money to be made here. And I was like, let me stop doing this. Let me go ahead and focus fully on there. I think it was a job. I'm trying to think. We went to, I think we might've went to Santa Rosa, and we did a job. It was little money. I mean, it wasn't as much as what we charge now, but the thought process behind it was like, I can make legitimate money doing this moving thing.
And be safe, not around the same stuff, and just go in a more wholesome direction.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And I was
wow.
like, look, let me just get rid of this business and let me go all in here. So I think that was about 2018. And then I was like, fuck it. Let me just go all in. Let me put everything I put into it. And then it started to grow. So it grew. I took the first 3 trucks from 2018 to like 2021. We went from 3 to, at one point we had like 12 trucks.
Dang.
And then we went from 12 trucks. We kind of scaled back a little bit because of COVID. It brought a lot of business, but also it brought this fake business because you didn't really know how long the good times were going to last. So
I see.
So that's where it takes us to where we're at now. I think I've learned a lot within that time frame, and all the lessons and everything like that from the business, which has been great. All the way from from the beginning, from the running side to the tax side to the black market, to
cell phones,
everything like that has been an amazing journey. But I think my biggest lesson from the whole journey is just to keep your head focused, and don't get mixed up with the shiny stuff syndrome. And whatever you put your energy to, it'll grow. So I'm just so now where I'm at in the business,
wow.
I'm not exactly where I want to be at. I want to keep continuing to really grow the business and really take it to the next level. I want to say that I didn't really learn how to run an actual business and really be able to fire people, really be able to look at a P&L, really able to do all that stuff and really navigate through a business until like last year.
Wow.
Maybe 2 years ago, give or take, about 2 years ago, I should say.
Because you jumped in.
I jumped in. Yeah, I jumped in and,
learned as you went.
Coming from the other side where it's like the black market, there's no
none
rules.
Of that. Yeah.
There's no rules there.
Yeah.
And I always tell like some of my friends that are still into that business is like, running a business and doing all that stuff and following the actual law and following the guidelines is fucking 20 times harder than
easily
than being on the street and fucking around. So
easily.
But yeah, that's pretty much the journey.
Wow,
I've actually
crazy.
I've actually never really told anybody that journey. My close friends probably do know about it, but it's
Wow, that's crazy.
it's my podcast. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Just go ahead and get into it and run it.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that with me. That was dope. It's crazy to like hear that story too, because I'm kind of one of those people where I believe the littlest thing can happen to you, but it's incremental to the next thing happening.
Right.
So I think it's crazy how like, oh well, what would have happened if the injury didn't happen and then you went like the sports route, went to college, like what would your life have been like? And then what if you didn't get in trouble and then you didn't work at In-N-Out? And then what if you didn't go to In-N-Out and then and work that day and then you didn't get into cell phones? And then if you didn't get into cell phones, that's where you got the opportunity for the tax thing. And if you didn't get the tax thing, then you wouldn't have been like, oh man, I'm actually tired of this. Let me go back to this. You know what I'm saying? I think it's super interesting how like I like the Stoic proverb. Luck is just preparation and opportunity.
Right.
And like you just kept working for it, and then okay, something happens, something knocks you down. Okay, let me just move where I need to move, and I get an opportunity. Okay, let me move. I like that. I love that. That's how I feel like my life's been. So I really appreciated that story.
Yeah, man, and I could really relate to you because the business, like you're into business and you're really kind of taking the route that I want to go, which is the seller financing and the mergers and acquisitions like that. Like that's such a huge thing to do, especially. I mean, how old are you?
22.
20 fucking 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, when you set, your journey, was business something that you always wanted to get into?
Man, so it had to go back to $1 Million Listings LA. I seen the nice cars on TV. I was like, man, what are they doing? And then I was talking to my mom. I was like, Mom, what do I do? Stock? Maybe I become a stockbroker. I dabble in stocks. I like stocks. I trade. And then I was like, Mom, should I go to college, be a stockbroker? I had good grades. I just had bad friends. All the people I was around, same thing, just bad. Just everyone's jail or something bad right now. Yeah, so I thought about maybe stocks, like becoming a stockbroker, going to school for finance. Ended up not doing that. So then I came up with a plan. So my mom is Irish and my dad is Mexican. My dad, came here, did his thing, and both of them were kind of like, hey, you're going to go to college. Neither of us did. We don't have anything. You got to do it. So I had to come up with a plan that would satisfy their belief in me to not go to college. And that was, okay, hey, Mom, look, this is what I'm going to do. If I work a minimum wage job for 4 years, this is how much money I can save. If I save this much money, I can turn this into a down payment for one house and do the Burr method. And I was like, Mom, I've been working construction. My dad's a master carpenter. I know how to do everything. So let's do it. And I shared with her that plan. I shared with my dad that plan. They were like, are you sure? We don't like that. But I was like, look, Mom, I bought this car, this motorcycle by myself, cash in high school. I got all this stuff. You see all the money I have saved up. I can do it. It doesn't matter if I'm making $18 an hour or I'm making 30, 40, 50, 60. At that time, I was like, I know how to save money, and I can turn that money into something else.
Right.
So they believed that, and originally the plan was to go into real estate. It was just I was going to learn construction, which now I've mastered. Like as a tradesman, I can do anything. Like to a masterful, I can do concrete, I can do roofing, electrical, plumbing, drywall, framing, you name it, right? And then I was like, okay, I mastered that. Now let me master real estate. So then I, got on the team with Brian, learned a ton from him. He's a beast. I love everyone over there, and they taught me so much. And so originally the plan was take that construction, take that real estate, and find an investor, start flipping properties. I did find a couple investors. I didn't necessarily feel a good vibe with the guys that I met that were down to put in the cash and let me run the projects. And I felt like some people were a little bit greedy, and I think you have to be. But at least in my perspective and outlook on business, I'd rather give more than I take if it means I'm going to have a good, solid relationship.
Right.
So I'd rather make sure that my partner makes more than me, if that makes them really happy. And as long as I still make something, of course, but I know, hey, this is a partner for life now.
Right.
So that was important for me, and I didn't get that from anybody. So that's how I kind of wound up here, and it was kind of how I was saying with you. Like, I did one thing, and this didn't work out, and I thought I was going to be a project manager now, and then I thought I was going to stick with real estate. I just tried everything, and, things just weren't settling and I was stressed for so long. I was like, why am I not popping off in real estate? Why am I not popping off in construction? Oh yeah, I had a construction company. I did that forever. It was SFC Builders. I was doing bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, anything. And I was doing really good, making great profit margins on that, but I wasn't super busy. Like, I would get a job every here and there. So I had to keep my full-time jobs, doing real estate on the side and doing that. And I was like, man, I'm doing like 3 different things. And I was bartending for like a couple months. So I bartended and I was like, man, I'm doing all these things, but not any single one of them is hitting enough for me to just go all the way. And then I think, just preparation in terms of finances and being ready for business with that opportunity led me here. And now I would say my goal looking outwards is acquire a couple more businesses, a couple different industries. I want to diversify because every business has high season and low season. So I want to get businesses that complement each other. Okay, hey, this business is slow in December. Okay, maybe I should get into something retail wise. But also I got to be careful because there's a lot of change going on in the retail industry. So now I got to see what avenues of business are going to last over the next decade with all the, upgrades and innovation in the world that I can jump into now for a low cost or some sort of creative deal. And then, I have one house, but buy a couple more, a couple of rental properties and just focus on building like a really big
portfolio.
Yeah, I kind of almost don't even look at it like that. Like before I got into business, I had this, my mentor who I was living with for a while, he would take his whole team out to dinner every once in a while. He would have them bring their wives, or sometimes he would have a huge barbecue in his house. This was like something that inspired me like crazy. I would just see him on the grill himself cooking for everybody. He bought all the food, all the drinks, made sure that everyone was taken care of, and he just made it seem like a family. That was so cool to me, and I feel like I have that with the guys I work with now. Like, the guys I work with that are at my shops, they'll call me just to be like, hey, man, I just need some advice on this. Or, hey, man, like, how's your day going? Just checking up on you. Like, it's like a family, and so...
It's a culture.
Yeah, it's a culture. Like, I'm the same way with everybody. I don't care if somebody's got 50 million, 100 million. I mean, I'm in this men's club right now with guys that have 50-foot yachts, have military defense companies, and I'm like just starting to get around really big people now.
How did you get into that club?
So I had a grandfather who was in it, and then it's kind of like a more like select kind of group. And I just was like, man, I loved who my grandpa was. Didn't know him a ton, but knew him enough to know that I liked and respected what he stood for. And so then I reached out, got in touch with a couple different they're called like lodges. And then I found one that I really liked. And then I'm meeting all these guys and I'm like, man, this guy had a pharmaceutical business he sold. He's got like the biggest house in San Mateo, or like just all these different guys. And I'm like, man, I got so much in common with these gentlemen and I'm learning so much from them. And I'm just seeing now like the capabilities and the possibilities like you can do with your life in a lifetime. And, I just went in because I just was like, man, all the friends I grew up with are doing bad. Where can I meet some guys that are doing good? And now it's like turning out to friendships where now we're going out and playing golf. We're going on boats. We're going fishing. We're doing all sorts of stuff that I never had the chance to do before. And they're teaching me all these things. They're a lot older. Everyone is like 56 to 85. And I'm the youngest guy there. And I just feel like I'm learning so much from these. And I feel like I have a better time with these business moguls and than I've ever had with any of my buddies in high school. It's crazy.
The conversations are different.
Yeah, they're different. Like, we're talking about things that matter, changing the world and stuff. So, that's another thing. I want to have a foster home at some point because I feel like there's a lot of kids that didn't have a good dad. I mean, I had a really rough childhood and I was like, man, the most important thing is setting up the future generation. I think that's the most important thing in the world right now. Because I feel like, I don't like to go into anything too detailed, but I just think the better we raise our kids, the better the world will be. So that's kind of just how I look at it. Making sure that I have a culture. Someday I want to go to my house, have a big barbecue, have guys from every company I own, property managers, everything, everybody involved with me, be able to come over, first name basis, handshakes, just friends. Like I just want to have a big family like that,
Now, let me ask you this. As far as the other companies that you do want to sell or finance, acquire, whatever, do you have like an industry specific that you're kind of looking towards?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the thing is that I think it said 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every single day. And
Wow.
what that means is that there's going to be a transfer of wealth.
Yes.
So let's talk about plumbers. Let's talk about, a lot of people.
Restaurant owners.
Yeah, a lot of that
Yeah.
industry. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be up for grabs in the next couple of years or whatnot, because everybody wants to be an ecom,
Yeah.
what is it called? An ecom guru. They want to become a YouTube content star,
influencer,
whatever, whatever
Yeah.
it is. I mean, yeah, that's great to strive for,
Yeah.
but how many people are really going to do that?
Correct,
With you, do you have a specific industry that you're looking to go after?
Yeah, I got a couple, and I totally agree with you on that point. One was I want to have some sort of a social type of business, like a restaurant or a bar. So I'm really into like dancing, like bachata, salsa, cumbia. So I kind of fancied the idea of maybe buying a bar and grill, something where I can have live music on Friday nights. And also I was in the restaurant industry and I was a bartender, so I feel like that's like the next best thing where I have a lot of know-how and experience in that industry. Other things too, like a laundromat. I want to get a laundromat.
Boring business that cash flows.
Boring business. A good friend of mine, and this is something I think people will enjoy. He had a shoe business. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he made a lot, not because he had good margins, but because he had high volume. And this was something that gave me a different outlook on businesses. And he said, I'd rather have quick pennies over slow dimes. So to me, what I realized was, okay, there's these guys in the same industry that sell less shoes, but they don't make as much as him because they're chasing that profit margin. Whereas he's chasing teeny little profit margins and he's getting an influx of business.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I took that, and basically what I'm thinking of now is, as I want a bunch of businesses with good profit margins, by no means, I want everything quality and, I want to be the best in it's kind of like you. I want to be the best in my area, best in this industry, yada, yada. But I figure if I'm not there as much, it's not going to make as much as when the owner's there every day.
Mm-hmm.
When the cat's out, the mice play, right? So I know, okay, I'll make more if I'm there. But what if I have 10 or 15 of them? Now I'm going to make way more than I ever would if I was just at one or two all the time.
Exactly. So you're scaling, you're delegating everything else to everybody else.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people need leadership. They need structure. They need someone that they can look to when times are tough. And I think that's what a lot of people look for in like a work environment. So I just want to build a place where my guys know, hey, I'm always going to take care of them. Like we had a time like, when I was doing this construction business and I had a guy and he was like, man, I'm kind of late on rent. And business was kind of slow. So I was thinking of kind of letting him go. But then I was like, man, I can't do that. Where's he going to go? What's going to happen to this? And I just got a job. So I have a full-on business, and I just knew, like, it's making enough anyways to take care of me, but if I let him go, I'll be fine. But instead of letting him go, I was like, no, I'm going to find another way to make money, even if it's just for a month or two, so I can make sure I support this guy and I keep him on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was really important to me.
Do you still have him on your team?
Yep.
You do?
Yeah, still got him.
So is he part of Blackout Tints?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy. How many employees do you have right now?
Right now, 3. And then I have one guy who's kind of like part-time. Call him, hey, I got this job over here. Let's go do a mobile. So I guess kind of 4. And then including myself, sometimes I go and I do jobs mobile, especially where I moved, which is new. But the next employee I'm going to add on is my girlfriend, actually. So I want her to get in the business, and, I want her to help me grow things as well. So then that'll be 6, including me. And then with this Burlingame deal I'm trying to work out right now, I'm probably going to hire another person, so that'll be 7. But from March of last year, I went from 1 guy to now, in the next couple months, it's going to be 7.
That's great.
And but after this, I don't think I'm going to open up any more tent shops. I'm like, this is good for this industry. Let me double my efforts into other industries, like the bar and grill. That one I'm excited about.
So now, 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Man, I see myself, wife, kids. I see myself married with the woman that I'm with right now. If everything works out how I see it. Kids, I always wanted to be a father. So I want to have a bunch of kids. Hopefully I've already started that foster home. And I think a lot of foster, just to go into it a little bit, I think I've been to this house called like the Huckleberry House. I've been to places, I was homeless for a little while. I had other friends taking care of me. And I've seen these like group home situations, and I just feel like they're just run. A lot of them, not all of them, but I think a lot of them are just run by people that don't actually care.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just there. They get their check from the government. They make their money, and they're just keeping you there.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I have a book actually that I've been writing for the last 3 years for my kids. So, and I have a note that I always add to on my phone, and I go back to my computer and I add to it. And on my phone, it's just things that I've learned in life to pass on. So say we have a conversation and you give me a little piece of wisdom. I just write it down. Go back to the computer, write a chapter on it. And the foster home is big. I think there's not enough people that really take being a parent super serious. And I think it's the most important job in the world. I think it's the highest responsibility. And I think you got to do your best. And so that's what I'm focused on right now. So yeah, that, and then, have all my businesses running passive, good cultures, good environments. I want to be able to give all my guys paid vacations. Even now, I don't have like a set structure, but one of my guys will say, hey, can I take this day off next month? Sure. Guess what? It's paid. Don't worry about it. Like, I like doing things like that. So ideally, I'll have enough income and assets to be able to take care of my family, my guys on my team comfortably, more than comfortably, and be able to just do a lot of good, a lot of impact on everyone. I just want everyone that's met me to have come out of knowing me better than they were without me.
Great.
That's it.
Now, you're an avid reader, right?
Yeah, super avid.
What book would you recommend to an entrepreneur that's just starting?
Man, there's a couple I can think of. Maybe let me give out like 3. I think The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is important. I liked that one especially because there's a thought experiment. Have you ever read that book?
Yeah, I have.
So
I didn't really like it.
Really?
No. Maybe it was a little bit. It was a little bit boring to me.
Yeah, it's kind of monotonous.
Yeah. Yep.
There was one part that I got out of it that sticks with me today. That one was, imagine you're at a funeral. Imagine you're watching the casket get carried down. You see everybody. It's a full funeral service. Now, imagine that you're actually the one in the casket. Now, think from the outside perspective. What would you want people to say about you at your funeral? And when I heard that, it was like, oh, I'm actually a really caring person, and I really want the best for everyone, and I want people to feel good around me. Because in my head, I was like, man, I want them to say he was loving, he was always there for us, not, oh, he made this much money, this was his net worth, and this is how many businesses he had. I just wanted to be loving father, loving friend, loving leader, everything, like someone that really did something for everybody. So that's why I say that book. Another one would be The Art of Virtue or The Art of Living. It's one of those 2 by Epictetus. It's a Stoic book on Stoic philosophy. A lot of proverbs, very easy read, very digestible. And I felt like that gave me an outlook on life and problems that come up that's invaluable. Anything comes up and I don't have an emotional attachment to it anymore because of the Stoic philosophy. Mm-hmm. So that helps a ton in business because, as you know, business has the craziest problems that just come up, and when it rains, it pours, and everything happens at once. You get 20 phone calls at once, and everybody, and the Stoic philosophy helped me. So those 2 books, and then the third one I would say has to either be, I would say actually Outwitting the Devil. Mm-hmm. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I really liked that book. So I think if you guys read those 3 books, that's going to give you the mindset that you need and kind of get your mind pointed in the right direction if you're feeling lost. I felt like those books were really important to me.
Gotcha. I love it. Kind of coming to the end of the podcast, yeah. I kind of like to ask some personal questions.
Yeah.
What do you like to do on your free time?
I love to surf.
Love to surf.
Love to surf. I love to play golf now. That's something new. A good golf game is crucial. And I like to just hang out with my girl. I like to dance. So me and my girl every once in a while, we'll go to a bachata social thing at a restaurant and we'll do that. And I like to walk my dog. I like to go on hikes. I try to work out every day. I'm not trying to become a bodybuilder or anything. I just do it to make sure that my mind is good and that I feel confident with myself and happy about my days. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Read a little bit here and there. That's it. Yeah.
Now, if someone wants to find you, ask you some questions, or even get their windows tinted from you, where can they find you?
Oh, yeah. So we're on Instagram. Instagram is the best way to reach me. Blackout window tint _HVO, which is the HVO stands for the Hidden Valley Lake Shop. The V stands for Vallejo, and the O stands for Oakland. So that's what it is on Instagram. Feel free to send me a DM. I believe I also have my phone number on there. So if anyone needs to reach me, they can reach me through that. And I also have an email. So if you guys want to reach out to me for any business opportunities, propositions or such, it would be blackout707@gmail.com. And we're on Google as Black It Out Window Tint and Wraps. That was the old name. And we got a Google business page for Oakland and Vallejo at the moment. And Hidden Valley Lake, we're still working on that one. But so if you guys need to reach out, Instagram's the best place. Shoot me a DM. I'm always answering DMs every day. I'll get back to you within the same day.
All right. And there you have it. It was great having you here.
Awesome.
And I really appreciate you coming all the way out here and hopping on the podcast, my man. There you guys have it.
Thank you.
Skylar with Blackout Tints.